1.5 angle relationships. We are going to start by talking about some angle relationships. So the first one is our complementary angles. Those are two angles whose sum equals 90 degrees. Supplementary, the picture for that would just be two angles. Let's say I have an angle here and an angle here, 1, 2. The measure of those angles need to equal 90 degrees. And the same thing over here. So if I have another one that's put like this, but you have the little angle symbol in the corner, if you add them together, they need to equal 90 degrees. Supplementary angles, they equal 180. So again, it's the same thing. If you put your angles together, so 1, 2, now when you add their measures together, they need to equal 180. And they could also look like this. 1, 2, measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is 180 degrees. Right, adjacent angles. So the word adjacent means next to. So the definition for that are two angles with a common vertex and a common side. So it's two angles right next to each other. So 1, 2, they share this common vertex, they share this common side. So they are next to each other. Linear pair, you can hear or see the word line in there. Those are two adjacent angles with non-common sides that are opposite rays. So on this one, they form a line. Okay, so together they form this line. Vertical angles, two non-adjacent angles formed by intersecting lines. So if we have two intersecting lines, 1, 2, those two angles are vertical. You can also have that these two angles are vertical angles. They are right across from each other. All right, so example 1, if angle LFE and angle EFR form a linear pair, if ray FD bisects angle EFR and measure of angle EFD is 20 degrees, find the measure of angle LFE. So they're giving you a lot of information here, so let's kind of break it up a little bit. FD bisects EFR. Remember, an angle bisector, it cuts it right in half. So FD is bisecting EFR, making these two angles congruent to each other. Then it's telling me the measure of angle EFD is 20 degrees. So E to F to D right here is 20. Well, this angle also has to be 20 degrees because they're congruent from that angle bisector. Find the measure of angle LFE. So we need to figure out what LFE is. Okay, well, if this angle, let's add it together. So this whole angle is 40 degrees. Linear pair, oops. Okay, linear pair line is 180 degrees. So if this whole line is 180, let's go ahead and say 180 subtract the 40 would be 140 degrees. So, there we go. Measure of angle LFE is 140 degrees. Okay. Example 2, the measure of angle C is 80 degrees. What is the supplement? So supplement, they add to be 180 degrees. So 180 subtract 80. So the supplement is 100 degrees. Meaning, if you take 80 and 100, add them together, it should equal 180. Complement is 90 degrees. So again, 80 plus what would give us 90? You could do 90 minus 80 as well to get 10 degrees there. Are the statements true or false? If two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. Yes. If it's a line, they have to be 180 degrees. So this is true. If two angles are supplementary, then they form a linear pair. This one is false. Linear pair. And the angles have to be adjacent. In supplementary angles, the angles do not have to be adjacent. So if I just write here, supplementary angles do not have to be adjacent, but again, in linear pairs, the angles do need to be adjacent. If two angles are adjacent, then they form a linear pair. This one is also false, because I could have 1, 2, these two angles that may add up to be, let's say 80 degrees. So they do not have to add up to be 180. What angle has a supplement 3 times as much as its complement? Okay, so let's kind of look at this a little bit. So when we're talking a supplement, remember a supplementary angles add up to be 180. So in order to find a supplement, we are going to take 180 and subtract the angle measure. So when I'm talking supplement, we're assuming it is 180 and subtract our angle measure. Same thing as complement. This is what we did in example 2, A and B. 90 degrees minus our angle measure. So up here in A and B of example 2, we were given an angle, we subtracted that from 180 or 90 to find the supplement or complement. It's the same thing here, but we're not given what x is. We're not given what that angle would be. So what angle has a supplement that is 3 times as much as its complement? So supplement of 180 minus x, which is 3 times its complement. And we got to solve by distributing. So 180 minus x equals 270 minus 3x. And then go ahead and subtract the 180. $90 minus 3x. And then we can go ahead and add the 3x over and get 2x equals 90, and x would be 45. So 45 degrees would have a supplement that is 3 times as much of its complement. All right, on the back, example 5, determine the values of x and y in the figure. So this one's going to be pretty tricky. One thing that we have not talked about quite yet is that vertical angles are congruent. So those two angles are vertical angles and they are congruent. So matching up the same variables, so I'm looking at both the x's here. I don't want to deal with the y yet. I'm looking at both the x's. I can go ahead and set those two equations equal to each other. So 2x plus 25 equals 3x minus 10, and solve there. So minus 2x minus 2x, 25 equals x minus 10. So we found out what x is, and we don't really have an equation to solve what y is, just because we can't put x and y in the same equation. So let's go ahead and plug x into this 2x plus 25. So 2 times 35 plus 25. And when you plug that in, you actually get 95. So this angle is actually 95 degrees. And then if you see these two angles together actually form a linear pair. Again, linear pairs add up to be 180 degrees. So now we can say that 95 plus this angle of 2y plus 1 should then equal 180. Doing the math, putting it all together, we get 96 plus 2y equals 180. Subtract 96. 2y equals 84. And then y equals 42. Okay, so find the measure of two supplementary angles if the difference in the measure of the two angles is 28. All right, so looking at this, the difference of those two angles, so we're talking about two supplementary angles, so I know that they have to be, they equal to be 180. If this angle is x, let's say this one's 180 minus x, and then let's take the difference of those two. So we have to do 180 minus x, which is this first angle, and subtract this one because we're talking about the difference. So minus x again, and that difference needs to be 28. So then 180 minus 2x equals 28, and you get negative 2x to be negative 152, and x is 76. So this angle would be 76 degrees, but 180 minus 76 is 104. So our angles would be 76 and 104 degrees. Example 7, find the measure of two supplementary angles if the measure of one angle is 6 less than 5 times the measure of the other angle. Let's draw out a picture. It says one angle is 6 less than 5 times the measure of the other angle. So let's put one angle as x, and that means the other angle is 6 less than 5 times. So 6 less than 5 times. And they add up to be their supplementary angles, so that is 180 degrees. So 5x minus 6 plus x should equal 180 degrees. Combining like terms, we get 6x minus 6. 6x equals 186. And x to be 31. Now we have to find the measure of those angles. So this angle, since it's just x, it's 31 degrees. And then 5 times 31 minus 6. 5 times 31 minus 6 is 142.